Hello there, Mantis Keepers. Welcome to my channel. I'm Nathan Rivas. Today, I just want to go over through a quick checklist you could do once you receive your praying mantis. And, many people ask, what do I do? What do I do with this? What do I do with that? What should I feed it? When should I mist it? We're going to go over all of that today, so hope you enjoy it. So your praying mantis arrives. Great. It arrives in the mail. You just got it today and you unbox it and the praying mantis comes out. That's amazing. So you got your fruit flies, which you probably ordered with the praying mantis. You got your enclosure over here. You got your bottle mister here. You got your heat mat right here. That's amazing. So I bet the first thing you're going to do is build enclosure. You got the enclosure set. It's amazing. It looks great. Now to put the L2 praying mantis in there. But first, before you put it in, just see how big it is. Some species of L2 are a little bit bigger than others. My L2 spine flower mantis was actually bigger than a giant Asian mantis L2, which I got. I was like, wow, that's really different. So I could place it in the terrarium because it was a really decent size. So let's say you got your L2 and it's pretty small. I would recommend you put it in a smaller enclosure or cup or deli cup while it grows to an L3. Why? Because if you got your, let's say, Zilla microhabitat, small arboreal, that's about 4 by 4 by 8 inches tall, and it's pretty big for that tiny praying mantis that you just got because they are teeny tiny. They're like 3 centimeters long. So you got it, and you place it in a small container, so you can decorate it a little bit. But next, how you feed it, what you missed it. So we got a week long, right? While it's an L2, I would feed it 3 times a week. Flightless fruit flies. Missed it about 2 times a week, depending on species. Because if you get an African twig mantis, you don't need to spray it much because it is already accustomed to not being that humid, because it comes from Africa, and it comes from a place in Africa that's not that humid. But anyway, if you get like a giant Asian mantis or one of those tropical praying mantis, keep it about 60 to 80% for humidity, depending on which species. It's when you buy from me, it normally brings with a care sheet, and it tells you everything about that. But you got your mister. I would mist it 2 times a week. Temperature wise, also in the care sheet. But yeah, so I would mist it 2 times a week. I would feed it 3 times a week if it's a L2, and make sure it is flightless fruit flies. Then now we transfer to L3. When it becomes an L3 or the third instar, you can start giving it a little bit bigger of prey items, because if you just feed him flightless fruit flies, it will get bored of that and it won't want to eat that anymore. So you go to Petco, PetSmart, I don't know, your local pet store, and you grab the smallest dubia roach there is, or don't grab crickets, because crickets have known to be great for praying mantis but are more known to be bad for praying mantis because they can give them diseases, they can give them all sorts of bad stuff. But yeah, so don't feed them crickets. And also, let's say you keep your own dubia roaches or you keep your own crickets, make sure not to feed them carrots, because that's been very bad for praying mantis lately. So make sure not to feed them carrots. So once in L3, you feed them small dubia roaches. Let's say you transfer to blue bottle flies. Those are great. You keep feeding that. I would mist it still 2 times a week. That never changes. And I would feed it now only 2 times a week, or maybe even 3 times a week still, but I would only feed it about 2 times a week. And then as it grows, I feed it less and less and less. How do you know if it's hungry? Well, at the back of the praying mantis, its abdomen, normally when it's all eaten, let's say you pet him a nubia roach, you're going to see its abdomen is big and thick. It's very thick and he's full. When he's hungry, it's normally very flat. It actually looks really flat, the abdomen, and that's a sign it's hungry. Another way that you can know it's hungry is that it's very active. It's going around the cage, and it's going into other places to see if it can catch better prey. That's another way you can know. Now we transfer to an L5. Now when it's the fifth instar, it becomes very strong depending on their praying man on their species, and it can now feed on bigger prey. When it's an L5, if it's a male, he got only one more molt till it reach adulthood. Might even molt 2 more times, but a male normally has 5th or 6th molt and it's already an adult. A female, 7 to 8 molts and it's an adult. So you can see what gender it is by looking at the segments in their abdomen. You can see like segments. If it has 7 to 8 segments, it's a male. If it has 5 to 6 segments, it's a female. But normally you can only notice that if it's in a third insta or higher. So, so once it gets to L5, you can feed them different stuff depending on the animal type. Let's say spine flower mantis. Spine flower mantis normally love flying insects and they are going to be scared about crickets or dubia roaches and they don't really like that. So you can feed them butterflies, you can feed them crane flies, you can feed them blue bottle flies. Normally those flying insects are great. Moths have worked amazing for me, and that's what I would feed him. And as it grows, you can feed him bigger stuff. Some praying mantis, like the giant Asian mantis, once it reaches adulthood, it can eat a pink mouse. But some, like the spine flower mantis, cannot eat a pink mouse because they're too small. And like I said, they like flying mantis. So flying insects. So that's a pro tip. Don't feed spine flower mantis terrain animals or insects. They really like flying insects. So once it reaches adulthood, you can now spray it same 2 times a week, and you can feed it a various variety of animals. Normally, if you want them to live long, don't feed them too much and don't keep their temperature too high, because once you put their temperature too high, their metabolism goes faster, and when you feed it quicker, they normally molt faster, which now if it's an adult, it'll die faster. So I recommend just feed it 1 time a week or 2 times every 4 weeks, one time every other week, depending how big the prey is. And like I said, you can see how hungry it is. It normally, if it already bonded with you, you already know the signals when it is already hungry and when it is full. So those are my little checklists you should get. L2 to L4, L3, just feed them 2 times a week to 3 times a week, and it should be fine. L5 and higher, depending how long you want it to live. Feed it 1 time a week or maybe even 2 times a week. But yeah, that's my video for today. Thank you for visiting. See me next Friday. And if you're interested in buying spine flower mantis, please send me an email. Email that's in the description down below. Thank you. Please like and subscribe, and see you later. Bye bye.